Hello, this is Paul Nelson with Western Sport Floors, Wyoming Wood Floors, coming to you today from Clinton, Montana. Today we're going to talk about how do you know when your gymnasium floor is at the end of its life expectancy. I have 4 areas that we're going to look at, talk about regarding gymnasium floors, and there may be others, but we're going to start with these 4. Number 1, I want to talk about broken boards. I put broken boards as number 1, and I'm talking about broken boards in the maple surface itself. And I put that as number 1 because I believe it's the most dangerous situation for athletes and users of a gymnasium floor. Occasionally, I will see floors that have sustained so much use over the years that under the basket, usually in the key area, I will find broken boards from those big heavy athletes going up to the basket and then coming back down, 4 or 5 or 6 of them, and that being done repeatedly will sometimes break a board. However, much more often when I see broken boards in a gymnasium, it is a result of using lifts and equipment in the gymnasium to do repairs to a divider curtain, a basketball goal, a new shot clock, a new scoreboard, lights, fire suppression sprinklers, HVAC systems. There's a lot of reasons why other contractors have to have a lift on that floor to do work in the gymnasium. But if they are not putting plywood down on that gymnasium surface, the result can and often is broken boards within your gymnasium floor. We understand that there are people that need to do work in your gymnasium, and it may be necessary to bring a lift into that facility. But if they are doing that, 2 rules. Number 1, use the smallest lift you can possibly get by with. And 2, leapfrog at least 1 sheet of plywood. I prefer to see 2 sheets of plywood, 2 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood. So you have a 1-inch barrier of plywood to distribute that weight out over your gymnasium floor system. That will greatly prevent broken boards as a result of equipment in your gymnasium. The second reason that I see gymnasium floors, owners wanting to replace their gymnasium floors is dead spots in the gym floor. Dead spots will drive athletic directors, coaches, and players absolutely crazy. And there's a couple of reasons for dead spots. I have a floor system here with me. This is a pretty typical standard floor system. There's many different varieties, but this is a stringer system. This is by Robbins, an Air Channel Star by Robbins. It features stringers, there's pads under the stringers, there's a layer of plywood and the maple on top. This is a very traditional gymnasium flooring system, but if the concrete surface under your gym floor is not level, these pads will sometimes hang up, and that's one reason for dead spots in your gym floor. There are fixes. Some people talk about drilling a hole and putting in expanding foam, something like Great Stuff, some kind of an expanding insulation foam. That sometimes works. Actually, in all likelihood, what that's doing is making a hard spot in your gym floor, but at least the ball will bounce well. So that can be a temporary fix, although that is not necessarily a great solution. Another solution is to open up the floor and try and re-anchor the subfloor system to the concrete. Again, that may or may not be successful. So resolving dead spots can be really difficult to do. The third reason that a gym floor may be considered just worn out is when the nail heads begin to show. Again, I'll show my sample system here. It's probably hard to see on the camera, but there's some nail heads here that are showing. This is what's called the wear layer between the top of the floor and the nail head. And when that floor actually gets sanded down to that nail head, and you start to see nail heads across your gymnasium floor, that's a pretty good indication that that floor is worn out. I have some video here of a floor that we worked on over the past year where there were nail heads showing throughout the floor. I will tell you, this is very, very rare. I don't see very many floors that have been sanded to the point where the nail heads are showing. That's an extremely rare situation. Usually something else is wrong with the floor before it's been sanded to the point where the nail heads are showing. And finally, the fourth reason that I see gymnasium floors being torn out and replaced new is performance. Again, I'll refer to my little sample here. We talked about these pads. What tends to happen after decades is that these pads get hard. There's no longer the suspension in the floor that there used to be. Systems that were made 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago don't have the technology of modern systems. And if you have athletes that are continuously complaining about shin splints, bad knees, difficulties on the hardness of your floor, those are performance issues which are every bit as viable a reason to replace your gymnasium floor if you're having those kind of problems with it. So I thought I'd go over those 4 reasons, which are the reasons I see most frequently, why owners, school districts, colleges, universities, and YMCAs choose to replace their gymnasium floors for Western Sport floors and Wyoming wood floors. This is Paul Nelson coming to you from Clinton, Montana. You make it. Great day.